Welcome back. So let's turn now to the COVID pandemic, which I'm sorry, folks, is not over yet. So you may not know this, but former White House press secretary, the redheaded stepchild one, Jen Psaki, has now been called to be deposed in a case involving collusion between big tech and the Biden administration. What were they doing? Of course, covering up and censoring any content online, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We know they were talking to them. The emails are there. Content online that were involving what? Election integrity, COVID-19 lockdowns, and of course, vaccine efficacy. Now at first, she didn't want to do this. She fought it tooth and nail. But now she knows she has to appear and be deposed. I guess maybe because she'd go to jail. Perjury, lying to the nation while she stood up there as the mouthpiece for Joe Biden. Anyway, her attempts to skirt the subpoena were squashed. A judge denied the motion yesterday. Thank goodness we have a sane judge involved in this one. Psaki tried to claim that her deposition would cause an undue burden and irreparable harm. Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to try and have an excuse for your lies. Her legal team argued that she had nothing more to offer than the evidence already collected. But again, the judge denied that as well. So we'll see what happens in her deposition, if she tells the truth or not. Speaking of lying White House press secretaries, Psaki's replacement, Karine Jean-Pierre, lost her cool this morning as one brave reporter inside that briefing room decided to ask Dr. Fauci, the all-and-mighty powerful Fauci, one last question, because today, you see, was his last official press conference before retiring. Now, let's set the stage for you. The reporters from the Daily Caller, is that right, guys? Okay. The reporter did jump in out of turn, because you know how big they are on calling on their friends. Okay, you at NBC, you at CBS. Nope, you shut up. You over here. So I'll give the reporter credit for jumping in. The question is a credible and very important question. It was about the origins of COVID. Just trying to find out if Fauci would say anything before he rides off into the sunset on that golden horse with a bank account filled with our money. Anyway, little Miss Jean-Pierre was having nothing to do with that. What I find interesting, and keep watching, other reporters from other networks actually jumped in to help their colleague, even though she was saying it's disrespectful for you to... Anyway, just watch this whole thing. It's about a minute, but it's classic interaction in the Biden regime.
We have a process here. I'm not calling out on people who yell. And you're being disrespectful to your colleagues, and you're being disrespectful to our guests. I will not call on you if you yell, and also you're taking time off the clock because Dr. Fauci has to leave in a couple of minutes. I'm done. I'm not getting into a back and forth with you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
It
is not your turn. It is not your turn.
You can't read a press briefing. You need to call from people across the room. She has a valid question. She's asking about the origin of COVID.
I hear the question.
And Dr. Fauci is the best person to answer.
I hear your question, but we're not doing this the way you want it.
So the reporters that stuck up for the reporter she muzzled then said, answer the damn question. She has a valid question about origin, and she's more worried about, you're disrespecting your fellow reporters, you're disrespecting our guest. Do folks not remember what that media briefing room used to look like during the 4 years of President Trump? How the media mistreated him and his people? I didn't want to hear it. By the way, Fauci never answered the damn question. Of course he didn't. Now, speaking of the things the left won't talk about, how about the scandals surrounding FTX, the now defunct, corrupt crypto company? I mean, these scandals keep growing. It seems like every couple days we learn something new. Today, we're learning the fact that in addition to the money laundering and the bribing that the head of this company committed, they also contributed to the spread of misinformation during the COVID pandemic. That's right. This deeply connected company to our political leaders in Washington, and yes, they're not all Democrats. Pretty sure some Republicans might have got some money from FTX too. Look it up. We're finding out this company contributed millions of dollars to research that would stop the production of products that could fight off COVID, not vaccines, therapeutics. The two products would have been really cheap and easy to produce, and they were proven to work against the virus. The research that FTX funded halted studies into the efficacy of these two products, claiming that the findings published showed the, quote, futility of continuing to look into them. So again, it looks like we have solid proof that big tech and big pharma were working together to force the vaccine narrative on all of us, that it worked, it was great, it would stop transmission, you wouldn't die, take the shot, roll up your damn sleeve right now. Lies. So when a company that has that deep a connection to the Democrats especially, and very deep pockets promote misinformation, what happens? Nothing. Nobody cares. You don't hear any mainstream media going after FTX except for the personal corruption of their CEO who stole money and the fact that celebrities and politicians were involved in promoting it. Nothing else. They don't touch the COVID stuff. They don't touch the Ukraine connection and the money coming back like we did. But when a doctor, a licensed professional who's raised the hand, taken the Hippocratic oath to do no harm, promotes true information about COVID that contradicts the narrative, look out, because that doctor will become a target of the Biden regime, of Big Pharma, of the CDC, you name it. And one of those great doctors has been on this show a lot over the last 2 years, our next guest, Dr. Peter McCullough. He, of course, is one of the best-known cardiologists out there in his field. He's written over 1,000 publications that are in the National Library of Medicine. He's an award-winning internist, cardiologist, epidemiologist, come on. And people hate him. But only certain people in the so-called medical and big pharma profession. Why? Because these tyrants who want us to believe that you must lock down, you must wear masks, you must take the vax, if a doctor comes along and says anything opposite of the narrative, they will try to ruin you. We've had Dr. Eric Naputi on. They're coming after him for millions, if not billions. Dr. Robert Malone, tons of these doctors that have spoken up and out, they're now coming after. The American Board of Internal Medicine has moved to strip the good doctor of his certifications in internal medicine and cardiovascular disease, his professions, his expertise, again, where he has studied and practiced this stuff for years. They're claiming that he provided misleading medical information to the public about the COVID-19 vaccines. The board states that McCullough's statements questioning the vaccine for healthy people younger than the age of 50 and pointing out that Americans have died, which is a fact, of COVID vaccine triggered a big review, which led to the recommendation to pull, revoke, strip, take away all of his certifications. He was given till the 18th. He asked for an appeal. He's now been extended until the 30th, a few more days, I guess. It's ridiculous what they're doing to him. And I'd like to welcome the good doctor back to the program so he can weigh in on what's happening to him. Dr. McCullough, thank you for coming back on. First and foremost, let's go right to what's happening with these medical board and your certifications. They gave you an extension. I would assume you've got attorneys. What are your attorneys and folks telling you? How's this going to play out?
Dan, we've uncovered a scandal. We never thought it was this deep. Richard Barron, the president and CEO of the American Board of Internal Medicine, is going to be appearing in the South by Southwest conference, the technology conference in a few months in Austin, with the vice president of digital health for Weber Shandwick. Weber Shandwick is one of the largest PR marketing firms, and they do have the marketing contract for Pfizer and Moderna. Also with Barron will be the CEO and founder of BlackBerry AI, an artificial intelligence company that's working with Weber Shandwick. What we found out is Weber Shandwick is actually has an embedded unit within the CDC, and they've been marketing Pfizer and Moderna to the CDC. In fact, the CDC awarded them a $53 million contract nobody knew about. Senator Rand Paul has sent a letter off to Rochelle Lewinsky asking for explanations immediately on this obvious case of fraud and racketeering. that's going on. Pfizer and Moderna cannot be using an embedded marketing firm to push their vaccines in the CDC and with the medical boards. And in fact, I think they've used the relationship to target me and try to strip me of my board certifications as we learn more about this. So I'll appeal. I do have lawyers. I'm planning on taking this, as far as I need to. This will effectively end my career if I can't prevail. Every single statement I've made has been evidence-based. It's been cited. I gave my testimony under oath. I answered questions the best I could in the U.S. Senate. They're really hitting me, Dan, on Senate testimony I gave before they had a COVID policy.
Wow. So, basic lay terms, Pfizer Moderna spends millions on a marketing firm to push their damn drug, which isn't working. I'll say it. You don't have to get in any more trouble. And then they get that marketing firm to buy their way in to have an office, probably next to Walensky's office, inside the CDC building. I'm sure there's no conflict of interest there. I'm sure they weren't pushing the Pfizer or Moderna shot for CDC to say, it's okay, tell people it's okay, wink, wink. I mean, this is so dang dirty. It's disgusting. What do you make of the Biden regime and Dr. Fauci literally on his way out the door today saying, y'all need to get that shot and get boosted before the holidays? They're still pushing it. And the White House just announced today, Doc, they're going to go on a 6-week COVID booster shot campaign around the country to get everybody to roll their sleeves up. To me, this is dangerous.
Dan, it is. Right now, the CDC is telling us, based on the COVID tracker data, 90% of Americans are not taking any more shots. 90% of Americans are not in compliance with any of this. The BA4, BA5 bivalent vaccine is already obsolete. The virus has mutated away from BA4 and BA5. Now it's BQ1 and BQ11. Data from Q and colleagues suggests the new vaccines are completely useless now from a theoretical basis. They were only tested in animals and they failed in the animal studies, and now they're not even covering the variants at large. So this big push to take more vaccines with no hope of any benefit and continued evidence of harm, I think, is extraordinarily dangerous. The Biden administration should make a complete about-face, drop the vaccines. Americans would have such a wonderful Christmas without the menace of COVID-19 vaccines hanging over them.
Well, Doc, all I can say is we're pulling for you. We're praying for you. This is disgusting what the system is doing to you and other good doctors who had the guts to speak up over the last 2 years and speak out about the vaccine, about the lockdowns, about the masks, and now they're trying to muzzle you because the evidence is finally coming to fruition. It took 2 years, but Americans are finally waking up. And Doc, you're one of the reasons they woke up. So don't stop this fight. There's no reason you should be stripped of these certs, and I hope to God somebody in that board has an epiphany and realizes you and other doctors were saving lives. Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you so much for what you've done during the pandemic and what you continue to do today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care, Doc.